So regardless of how you voted, this is what actually happened. I'll show you a print ad that followed this decision. In the future, South-South trade will be the norm, not a novelty. There'll be no markets left waiting to emerge. The food chain and the supply chain will merge. Even the smallest business will be multinational. So interesting concepts. I don't quite know what they say to you as a consumer, but you will notice that we are missing an end line. And you'll notice that the red border has been reduced to one side of these print ads. So the fact is that the bank decided to ditch the slogan. And the real reason for that was that Sir John Bond had retired by this point, and the person who took over as CEO of the bank was a man called Stuart Gulliver, and he was the one man I could never convince that a global strategy was worthwhile. And because his background was investment banking, he wasn't particularly interested in retail or consumer banking. So he decided to get rid of it and allow much more flexibility in the way that the bank was portrayed across different products and in different markets. So to summarize where we've got to, way back, the bank was built on mercantile roots, and you can see how culture has played a vital but consistently changing role in creating the planet's biggest ever financial brand. So over 147 years, the bank developed a global network of around 7,500 offices in 87 countries and territories, dealing with well over 100 million customers, enabling us to appreciate firsthand the richness of the world's diversity and the commercial opportunities that such a network brings. In the 14 years between 1999 and 2013, the brand HSBC added some $27.5 billion to audited brand value on their balance sheet. And most of that came from the world's local bank as an idea. Obviously, the bank's communication have evolved a lot since then, and it's moved away from that. So looking at this timeline, you can see how we work through these various different bits. But back to our opening idea. There has been this evolutionary process, and it started with elegant cultural neutrality. The Symbols campaign was inspired and was culturally agnostic. We then moved into celebrating the benefits of cultural difference, and that was the really big idea that powered this brand to where it got. That evolved into personalizing cultural divergence. So the search for relevance, the search for being a part of the new internet age, and if you like, being seen to be more contemporary, I think started to erode the really big idea. And then, of course, there's the search for what next. And it's quite possible that they have actually thrown the baby out with the bathwater by ditching the world's local bank as a concept. But maybe coming back to this original spectrum, we've moved from the left-hand end, where we were really quite efficient, but strangely we also managed to achieve significant relevance. We moved all the way along, trying to be as culturally specific as possible, and maybe we've kind of fallen off the right-hand end. We've moved from the left through a sweet spot in the middle, and in attempting to be very relevant, I think we've actually moved into the horns of a dilemma. So to wrap up, again, I would say that if you are faced with a big brand problem like the one that we've described here today, the best thing you can do is break it down into bite-sized chunks, strategic stages, call it what you will, but look at it in phases. You have to make sure that your customer is absolutely at the core of what you are doing. Your strategy has to be built on solid foundations, ideally on fact, on history, on deliverables, but it's also got to be cognizant of culture. You want to spend a disproportionate amount of time seeking a really simple expression of what your brand stands for. You do need to get your chairman, your CEO, your managing director on side and batting in your corner if you're going to make a success of a brand exercise. And then you want to make sure that all the other business divisions, sales, R&D, finance, whatever it may be, that they're all brought into the tent and therefore will understand what you're trying to achieve and help you to deliver it. And that's the way that, as far as a customer is concerned, they will get a properly holistic 360-degree brand experience. So I hope that's been helpful. Obviously, if you have questions, please let me know. It's an interesting story. It is written up as a case history in Michael Beveland's book, so you can read it in a bit more detail there if you would like. But thank you for listening.